Assalamualaikum to Dr. Mutiah. I am Siti Fairuz from RBA27346. For the background of our organization, we selected Starbucks Malaysia, which is operated by Berjaya Starbucks Coffee Company Sendirian Berhad, which is a subsidiary of Berjaya Food Berhad. Starbucks opened its first outlet in Kuala Lumpur on 17 December 1998 and has since expanded to more than 320 stores across Malaysia. We chose Starbucks Malaysia because it's experienced significant organizational changes after the COVID-19 pandemic. During the pandemic, health restriction and social distancing measures reduced the number of customers visiting physical stores. As a result, Starbucks had to adjust its business operation and find new ways to serve customers. This situation makes Starbucks a suitable example for studying organizational development and change management. The company had to transform its operations, adopt digital technologies, and adjust its organizational practices to remain competitive in a changing business environment. Overall, Starbucks Malaysia demonstrates how an organization can respond to challenges and adapt successfully to measure environmental changes.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nosha Mimi and I will be presenting the issue faced by Starbucks Malaysia in the post-pandemic period. In this session, I will discuss three major issues experienced by the company, which is digital transformation challenges, employee retention and labor shortage, and rising operating costs and profitability pressure. Let's begin with the first issue, which is digital transformation challenges. After the COVID-19 pandemic, customer expectations changed significantly. More customers prefer using mobile applications, online ordering, delivery service, and cashless payment methods. Because of this change, Starbucks Malaysia had to adapt its operation and introduce more digital technologies into its business. However, its transition was not easy. Employees need to learn how to use new systems and adapt to new ways of working. Some employees require additional training to become familiar with these technologies. At the same time, management had to ensure that daily operations continue to run smoothly during the transition process. This became a major issue because digital transformation affected both employees and business operations. If the company failed to adapt, it could struggle to meet customer expectations and remain competitive in the market. The second issue faced by Starbucks Malaysia was employee retention and labor shortage. Following the pandemic, many workers in the food and beverage industry decide to leave their jobs and look for opportunities in other sectors. This creates challenges for companies like Starbucks that depend heavily on employees to provide quality customer service. As a result, Starbucks had to work harder to attract and retain employees. Existing staff often need to handle additional responsibility, especially during busy periods. This situation could increase stress levels and make it more difficult to maintain consistent service quality across different outlets. This issue is important because employees are one of Starbucks' most valuable assets. Without enough skilled and motivated employees, the company may face difficulties in delivering the customer experience that Starbucks is known for. The third issue faced by Starbucks Malaysia was rising operating costs. In recent years, businesses have experienced increasing costs in many areas, including raw materials, employee wages, utilities, and store operations. Starbucks Malaysia was also affected by these challenges. As a premium coffee brand, Starbucks must continue to maintain high product quality and excellent customer service. At the same time, the company needs to manage its expenses carefully to ensure that the business remains profitable. This became a significant issue because rising costs can affect business performance and long-term growth. Starbucks needs to find ways to improve efficiency while still maintaining the quality and experience that customers expect from the brand.
Hi, my name is Ada Nazira and I will be presenting for the next part, which is how the issues were overcome. Starbucks Malaysia faced several challenges during the post-pandemic period, including digital transformation challenges, employee retention and labor shortage, as well as rising operating costs and profitability pressure. For the first issue, Starbucks recognized that customer preferences had shifted towards mobile ordering, cashless payment, and digital interactions. To address this challenge, the company enhanced its mobile application, Starbucks Rewards Program, mobile ordering services, and customer analytics capabilities. The main change agents involved were top management, IT teams, marketing departments, and store managers who supported the implementation of these digital initiatives. As a result, Starbucks improved customer engagement and operational efficiency. For the second issue, employee retention and labor shortage, Starbucks focused on strengthening employee development and onboarding processes. The company implemented digital learning platforms and expanded training opportunities to support workforce development. The change agents involved included the Human Resource Department, training teams, store managers, and external learning providers. These efforts were successful, with Starbucks Malaysia employing more than 3,000 baristas nationwide, onboarding over 2,000 new employees annually, and achieving training completion rates exceeding 97%. For the third issue, rising operating costs and profitability pressure, Starbucks analyzed its operational and financial performance and introduced cost optimization initiatives. The company restructured certain operations, reviewed underperforming stores, and reallocated resources to improve efficiency. Top management, finance departments, operations teams, and regional managers played key roles as change agents throughout this process. Overall, Starbucks Malaysia successfully overcame these challenges by using data-driven decision-making involving both internal and external change agents and implementing targeted interventions that improve customer experience, employee capability, and operational effectiveness. These initiatives help the organizations adapt to post-pandemic changes and strengthen its long-term sustainability.
Hi, my name is Natasha. Now we are diving into an evaluation of the strategic maneuvers implemented to navigate recent market turbulence. Specifically, we will be analyzing the effectiveness of actions taken. Moving on to the first core pillar, which is digital transformations, as detailed in slides. Starbucks' focus here was evaluating the effectiveness of a frictionless customer interface and rapid delivery platform scaling. By aggressively expanding the Starbucks Reward apps and securing multi-platform local deliveries through partners like GrabFoods and Foodpanda, the immediate result was highly successful. In terms of market capture, Starbucks successfully converted offline footfall into high-ticket digital orders and expedited cash flow. However, this aggressive digital scaling exposed several internal strains. Immediate bottlenecks emerged and attraction lines due to unscheduled mobile bursts. The backend simply could not keep up with the front success. Now we have Starbucks company critical stance and reforms. Evaluation stance. Starbucks agree with this aggressive omni-channel spread. Failing to transition into app-centric models would have meant surrendering massive market share to local F&B competitors. It was a valid protective intervention. And then for the strategic reforms, to fix the backend friction, they cannot rely on manual pacing. Starbucks are introducing workforce forecasting and separated pickup. This means automating their staff scaling to match peak transactions curve directly inside the app and creating physical dedicated express counter separate from walk-ins to entirely eliminated queue confusions. This transforms a reactive patch into a long-term asset. Let's address second pillar, which is employee retention and labor shortage. In response to high attrition rates across the industry, corporate introduced salary increments and expanded inclusive social programs such as the dedicated sign-in store, which beautifully boosted their corporate reputations across Malaysia. But looking at the operational reality, these interventions were only moderately effective. Why? Because Starbucks ran into a massive conflict. Frontline workers experienced escalating burnout due to intense work rhythm driven by the very automated digital ordering system they just breeze. The market reality is clear. conventional retention fix, this not fully curb heightened over in Malaysia hyper-competitive post-recovery hospitality market. Evaluation stints. Starbucks disagree with the lack of adaptive compensations. Standard retail salary boosts were simply insufficient to retain workers under intense digital stress. It was an insufficient strategy that failed to realign baseline work pressure with competitive reward. Next, for the strategic reform, moving forward, Starbucks are shifting to micro-incentive and vocational pipelines. They will implement micro-incentive modules that instantly reward store teams during extreme digital order stress. Furthermore, Starbucks are building direct corporate partnership with Malaysia colleagues to establish structured part-time roles, creating a robust, sustainable talent pipeline. Third area of evaluation shows focuses on financial and margin pressure, specifically regarding cost management and outlet footprints. Faced with steep inflations and operating cost hikes, the immediate strategy focused on footprint optimizations, consolidating retail presence and temporarily pausing weak, low-margin suburban outlets. These mitigations strategies successfully reduce operational overheads and preserve central liquidity. However, a glaring profitability gap remained. These defensive closures were severely undermined by high global Arabica beans prices and the heavy internal cost of running broad, blanket customer discount promotions across the board. Starbucks critical stance and reform. First, evaluation stance. The Starbucks hold a mixed evaluation here. While they agree that closing unprofitable venues was necessary to secure immediate cash flow, they disagree with using broad app discounts. They compromise profit margins and generate incredibly busy counter with low actual earnings. While for strategic reforms, Starbucks must shift from reactive protections to an avenue for growth. They are replacing blanket discount with data-driven offers and supply hedging. They will utilize AI-powered personalized app offer to protect margins and simultaneously mitigate shipping and raw material costs by securing direct futures with Southeast Asian regional growers.
In conclusion, this case study shows that managing organizational change is not an easy process, especially in the post-pandemic business environment. Starbucks Malaysia faced several challenges, including digital transformation, employee retention issues, labor shortages, and rising operating costs. To overcome these challenges, Starbucks introduced various initiatives such as improving its digital platform, enhancing employee development programs, and implementing cost management strategies. This action helped the company continue operating and remain competitive in the market. One important lesson from this case study is that organizational changes should be planned carefully because changes in one area can affect other areas of the business. In addition, organization must balance customer satisfaction, employee well-being, and operational efficiency to achieve long-term success. Therefore, Starbucks Malaysia provides a valuable example of how organization can adapt to change, overcome challenges, and continue growing in a dynamic business environment. Thank you for your attention.